In this video, I'm going to explain to you why your knee or hip osteoarthritis is most likely not caused by wear and tear. It isn't wear and tear because our joints aren't designed to wear out just like that. We wouldn't have made it very far as a species, especially when we were hunter-gatherers, if our joints just wore out if we used them. All we did as a species when we were hunter-gatherers is just run around and chase animals down and do all those things, all the physical activity things. Imagine if our knee joints just wore out and then they were no more. Like, how counterproductive would that be? So it's pretty mind-blowing when we think about it. Everybody thinks that their osteoarthritis is caused by wear and tear. Osteoarthritis prevalence, so the amount of osteoarthritis in our society, has increased substantially, but our physical activity levels have dropped through the floor. How does that make any sense if it's wear and tear? To understand why this is happening, we must understand what's going on inside of our joints. So let's give an example of your knee joint. So your knee joint looks just like this. So you've got the two bones, and then you've got some articular cartilage on the surfaces of those bones. Now those bones connect together, but that articular cartilage kind of works like a shock absorber. But a critical part of that is what's called synovial fluid. So synovial fluid is this frictionless-like substance. So a good example of what it is, or a comparison, is, have you ever aquaplaned in your car? So you're driving along, wheels are touching the road, and then boom, you hit a body of water, and then all of a sudden you just slide. Okay, that's because there's that little bit of liquid in between the wheel and the road. So the same thing works with synovial fluid. So synovial fluid is creating that tiny little barrier in between those bones. I guess a good way to think about it is like engine oil. So the use of engine oil is to lubricate those moving parts and to prevent any kind of damage or wear. So now that you know what synovial fluid is, I want to talk about how important it is. So synovial fluid works to deliver nutrients inside the joint, especially to the articular cartilage, because that articular cartilage is avascular, meaning it doesn't get a blood supply. So what happens, right, is on the outside of your joint, you have a synovial membrane, and that membrane is supplied with blood. And that synovial membrane actually creates synovial fluid. So it's creating all that nutrients inside the synovial fluid, and then it's pushing it into the joint. And guess how that synovial fluid is pushed throughout all that articular cartilage? It's actually through movement. So movement, by moving your joints, you're getting a supply of synovial fluid. It's getting pushed throughout the entire joint. So that articular cartilage is actually getting the nutrients so it can regenerate, it can grow, it can become bigger, stronger. And actually, a good little fact is people with spinal cord injuries on MRI actually have thinner cartilage and more defects in their cartilage than the general public who are moving around. So that just kind of shows you how important movement is. Now, why is wear and tear not causing your osteoarthritis? Because we're actually moving a lot less than we did 100 years ago. However, if you look at this graph, our arthritis is going through the roof compared to what it was like, say, 100 years ago. So now we know that movement is critical for the supply of nutrients. Is there a relationship between the fact that we need to move for our joints to be healthy and the fact that we're moving a lot less than we were previously, but our osteoarthritis prevalence is skyrocketing? Now, I do want to caveat that for some individuals, it can be wear and tear. Now, those individuals are elite athletes, because what happens is when you start to exercise, and especially a lot of that weight bearing, your cartilage will start to deform, but when you get the adequate rest, that then regenerates and comes back stronger and healthier. So that's why a lot of the evidence now suggests that runners who run not every single day, but they have adequate rest, actually have thicker and better articular cartilage than those that don't run. So obviously there's something much greater at play here. Anyway, so now I hope your mind is open to the fact that it's probably very unlikely that your osteoarthritis was caused by wear and tear. And in the next video, I'm going to actually explain to you what osteoarthritis is, because I feel like no one can ever get a straight answer